Libra, my dear cosmic seeker, tomorrow, October 5th, brings big money news. This isn't just a lucky day, it's a turning point. A divine financial blessing is making its way into your field, and you are being called to receive it with clarity, power, and deep inner readiness. Let me ask you something bold. Do you believe that destiny can knock on your door through a video like this in this exact moment? Because if you're watching right now, I want you to know, this isn't random. Your spirit, whether gently nudged or deeply stirred, brought you here for a reason. And I don't take that lightly. This is a deep dive, soul-centered horoscope reading for Libra, delivered through the lens of astrology, tarot, energy work, the law of attraction, and divine timing, all translated into practical, empowering truth. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where transformation is whispered gently, but its impact runs deep. Under the powerful influence of Venus trine Pluto tomorrow, October 5th, your financial world is entering a cosmic portal of rebirth and reward. What once felt delayed, denied, or distant is beginning to shift. This energy brings revelations, a message, an opportunity, or a divine release that realigns you with prosperity. And here's what's remarkable, it's not just about money. It's about your relationship with abundance. It's about remembering that wealth is your birthright, not a battlefield. So I ask you, Libra, are you ready to step into the role of the empowered receiver? Are you willing to release guilt, shame, or scarcity, and allow divine favor to pour into your life? If something in you just whispered yes, even quietly, then this message is yours. Take a deep breath with me. Ground yourself in this moment. Because the gateway is opening. And it's opening for you. Now, let's make this sacred. Leave a comment below and write, I am ready to receive divine financial blessings on October 5th. This isn't just engagement, it's intention. It's how you activate the energy. And before we move forward, let me offer something from my heart. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to spend this moment with me and with this sacred space we're building together on Zodiac Whisper Tarot. Every comment you leave, every like you offer, every time you subscribe, you're not just supporting this channel. You're aligning yourself with a community of souls who are awakening, healing, and rising together. And yes, you'll want to stay until the very end. Because what the universe is revealing today is nothing short of extraordinary. If you've been looking for a sign, a shift, a sacred invitation to rise, Libra, this is it. Let's begin. There are moments when life seems to hold its breath, when everything feels uncertain, like the ground beneath your feet is shifting but you can't yet see what's coming next. Libra, this moment may feel exactly like that. But what if the shaking isn't meant to break you, but to rebuild you? What if the rumble you feel inside your finances or your self-worth is actually the sound of old patterns crumbling, making space for something far more aligned to rise? October 5th arrives with a cosmic intensity that only few signs can navigate with as much grace as you. The trine between Venus, your ruling planet, and Pluto is not just another astrological event. It's a divine architectural alignment for rebirth, especially in the realm of money, value, and the power you hold over your material world. When Venus speaks, she speaks through relationships, beauty, and self-worth. When Pluto listens, he doesn't just hear, he transforms. That's why this moment feels like both a challenge and a gift. You might be feeling the residue of financial anxiety, those moments when you felt behind, inadequate, not enough, in comparison to others who seem to move faster, grow quicker, or shine louder. But here's the truth you may have forgotten in the noise: comparison is the thief of divine timing. Your abundance has never been on anyone else's schedule but your own. This current energetic portal is not asking you to push harder or prove anything to the world. Instead, it's inviting you to rewrite your personal wealth story, one based not on lack or fear, but on truth and sovereignty. And yes, that begins with your mindset. Because money, at its core, is a mirror. It reflects what you believe about yourself, about safety, about love, and about worth. It's never just about numbers in a bank account. It's about how you allow support to flow into your life. You are being asked now to consider: have you been holding your value hostage to circumstances? Have you mistaken temporary lack for your permanent reality? Or worse, have you believed that you must struggle to earn the right to receive? What you're walking into is not a miracle, in the way fairy tales describe. It's a culmination of energetic shifts you've been preparing for, even in moments when you didn't know you were preparing. The healing, the setbacks, the letting go, all of it was soil softening work so that what wants to grow now can finally take root. Just as a desert blooms after the first true rainfall, your financial field is ready to flourish. But that bloom needs one thing from you: permission. Permission to believe again. Permission to let go of shame around money. Permission to see money not as a monster or burden, but as a tool, a divine facilitator of your purpose, your safety, and your expansion. Think of this season as a harvest of faith. In Christian teachings, there's a quiet wisdom that says, you reap what you sow, and in a life that's often rushed, noisy, and overwhelming, many of us forget to tend our inner garden. But you, Libra, have planted seeds. Perhaps they were small, even invisible to others, but they were faithful. They came from honesty, from resilience, from hope whispered in your most private prayers. And now, the ground is finally soft enough for them to rise. So this isn't just about money news. This is about financial healing. This is about reclaiming your right to experience safety, stability, and even joy in the material world. This is about acknowledging that your value is not up for debate, that your pace is perfect, and that your soul has always known how to attract what it truly needs. Let this be the moment you stop striving to survive and begin choosing to thrive. Speak gently to yourself. Reaffirm what you deserve. And if you feel called, rewrite your financial declaration not from a place of panic, but from a place of power. Because money is not your enemy. It is a servant of the worthy, and Libra, you are deeply worthy. It's often in the quietest moments, when the noise fades and we're left alone with our thoughts, that we begin to realize how we've been relating to money. Not as a neutral tool or a conscious exchange of energy, but as an emotional escape route. Libra, if you're honest with yourself, have you ever spent money not because you needed something, but because you needed comfort? Maybe the click of a purchase helped quiet the loneliness, or generosity became a strategy to keep someone close, to be needed, to feel worthy. These are tender truths, and there's no judgment here, only gentle awareness. You see, financial freedom doesn't begin with numbers. It begins with consciousness. It begins with how you relate to your own value, how you define enough, and how you give money meaning. When the Emperor card appears in reverse, it often reflects a loss of sovereignty, not because someone took your power, but because somewhere along the way, you stopped believing it was yours to begin with. You started reacting instead of directing. You started reaching for short-term relief instead of long-term alignment. But here's the truth, softly whispered, every dollar you spend casts a vote for the reality you are co-creating. And when your spending is guided by unspoken fears or unmet emotional needs, your energy leaks into things that may never nourish you back. That's why the call in this moment isn't just to budget. It's to reclaim authorship over your financial story. To reframe every transaction as a conscious transmission of energy, a seed you plant, a path you affirm, a future you endorse. This isn't about restriction. It's about responsibility. Not the heavy, punishing kind, but the kind that honors your future self. That sees your life as sacred, your vision as valid, and your dreams as deserving of wise protection. Imagine your budget as a spiritual map, not a cage. Where are you sending your energy? Are you investing in healing? In peace? In growth? Or are you feeding fear, urgency, and distraction? Redirecting that flow requires courage, but it's one of the most radical acts of self-respect you can offer. In the everyday rush of life, it's easy to forget this. Easy to swipe a card or confirm a payment and move on. But just like we pause before we pray, we can pause before we pay. We can ask, does this reflect who I'm becoming? Or, will this decision return energy or drain it? I often think of the ways we plant seeds not just in soil, but in spirit. When you give from a space of gratitude, when you save not out of fear but out of vision, when you invest with intuitive clarity, you're not just managing money, you're cultivating magnetic alignment. And yes, sometimes the divine works through your balance sheet, not by delivering miracles from the sky, but by giving you the wisdom to steward what's already in your hands. So perhaps the miracle isn't outside of you. Perhaps the miracle is you fully awakened to the power of your choices, the truth of your worth, and the energy you hold to shape your experience. If you feel that shift stirring within you, I invite you to anchor it. Not just by nodding, but by declaring. Say it with your heart, I am leading my money with light and purpose. Or type it below as a commitment to your new path. Let this moment be a beginning not of sacrifice, but of intention. Because the most abundant people in the world aren't always the ones who have more, but the ones who direct their flow with wisdom, grace, and a deep knowing that they were never meant to live in lack. Neither were you. There are times when the heart begins to speak louder than logic, when you feel a stirring you can't quite name, a gentle ache for something deeper, more aligned. In this season of your life, Libra, the Ace of Cups appears not just as a symbol of romance or emotional newness, but as a spiritual mirror reflecting what you truly need, connection that expands you, not confines you. It reminds you that the energy of love is never meant to feel like sacrifice, transaction, or self-abandonment. Love, when aligned, doesn't ask you to shrink, it invites you to grow. Often in our human experiences, we confuse attachment with love. We chase what is familiar, even if it hurt us, simply because it once made us feel seen. That's why when someone from the past returns, as the cards suggest may happen now, it's not just a moment of emotional intrigue, it's a cosmic checkpoint. A chance to ask, does this connection honor the version of me I'm becoming, or is it tied to a version I've already outgrown? You see, money and love may appear as separate spheres, but they are deeply intertwined. Not because one is transactional or should be conditional, but because both reflect how we relate to value. Who do you allow into your heart? Who do you pour your emotional energy into? The answers to those questions often mirror your beliefs about worthiness, deservingness, and what you believe you must give up in order to be accepted. But what if real love doesn't require you to give anything up, except the belief that you are too much or not enough? In the realm of energy, we attract not what we wish for, but what we believe we're worthy of receiving. So if you've ever found yourself loving people who couldn't hold space for your brilliance, your softness, your ambition, or your stillness, that was never your failure. That was simply a season where your self-worth was still unfolding. Now, the invitation is different. You're being called to receive a kind of love that matches your frequency, love that feels like exhale, not exhaustion. Love that adds peace, not pressure. This is a powerful time to reevaluate your emotional contracts, both the ones written in words and the silent ones you've made in your heart. Are they rooted in mutual support, shared values, and growth? Or are they echoes of wounds you've outgrown but haven't fully released? Emotional sovereignty is just as important as financial sovereignty. In fact, one often reinforces the other. The Ace of Cups also speaks to healing. If you've been carrying grief, loneliness, or regret from past relationships, allow this moment to be one of release. Not because the other person has changed or apologized, but because you no longer wish to carry what weighs down your heart. Freedom is not forgetting, it's forgiving enough to move forward unburdened. Sometimes, in our search for companionship, we forget that the most sacred relationship we will ever have is with ourselves. When you feel grounded in your worth, anchored in your truth, and clear on your emotional needs, love begins to orbit closer, not as something you must chase, but as something drawn to your light. And if you're wondering when or how this love will show up, trust this: the moment you stop running after energy that depletes you, space is created for what restores you. Let that be your quiet revolution, choosing not just to be loved, but to be loved in a way that reflects the love you've already begun to show yourself. So breathe deep, Libra. The love you deserve is not behind you, it's already being magnetized by your healing, your truth, and your expansion. And the best part? It won't cost you your peace to keep it. There's something quietly powerful about numbers and colors. They often speak where words fall short. They carry frequency, memory, and resonance, echoing through our subconscious and vibrating gently in our energetic field. Libra, you are highly attuned to these subtle messages, often sensing things others overlook. In this part of your journey, as the stars open a new gateway of abundance, it's not just what you do that shapes your experience, it's also what you align with, surround yourself with, and allow into your space. The number 66 is not just a figure, it's an energetic invitation to come home. Home, in this case, isn't necessarily a place. It's a state of harmony between your emotional needs and your external world. This number calls your attention to the foundation you're building in relationships, family, commitments, and asks, is it strong, or is it shaking? True wealth rarely begins in the bank. It begins in the connections that support your well-being. When your inner circle is rooted in love, honesty, and shared growth, everything else multiplies from that sacred ground. There's also an undertone of responsibility within 66, not the burdensome kind, but the graceful kind that reminds you how powerful it is to be someone others can rely on. But before you give to others, are you offering that same presence and reliability to yourself? Have you been honoring your own needs with consistency, or have you abandoned parts of yourself to stay available to everyone else? Balance is not something you achieve once and keep, it something you return to over and over, like breath. Now, the number 41, reducing to 5, brings a different energy. It stirs movement. It whispers of shifts, breakthroughs, and perhaps even disruptions meant to redirect you toward better alignment. If something in your life is ready to evolve, this number encourages you not to wait for permission. Life is not holding back, it's inviting you to participate in your own unfolding. When you see the number 5 in your space, whether in sequences or synchronicities, take it as a nudge. It's time to step forward, even if the next step isn't fully visible yet. This is where your spiritual tools come in, not for show, but for support. Color, for instance, can shift how you feel before a single word is spoken. Violet, rich, ethereal, and deeply symbolic, invites both clarity and calm. It doesn't shout. It holds space. And that's exactly the kind of energy your financial and emotional life needs right now: silent strength. When you wear violet, meditate with it, or simply keep it close to your body or space, you're reminding your nervous system to slow down and return to trust. It's also known to stimulate higher awareness, making it a wonderful ally in moments of financial decision-making or emotional discernment. Energy is always looking for structure. The more intentional you are with your environment, your habits, and even the frequency of colors and numbers you engage with, the more clearly you tell the universe, I am ready to hold more. I am ready to steward more. I am ready to align with abundance, not just materially, but in my body, mind, and relationships. So what if your next phase of growth isn't about doing more, but about surrounding yourself with what reminds you of who you truly are? What if the symbols you carry, the colors you choose, the numbers you notice are all tiny threads being woven into your greater story of expansion? Stay open to what speaks to you, even in quiet ways. Let your life become a sacred space where frequency meets form. Whether it's 66 reminding you of stability and love, or 41 pushing you to embrace a new chapter, or violet grounding you in your personal power, trust that these small things hold big energy. And sometimes, it's the smallest alignments that shift everything. Even when we understand the cosmic patterns at play, even when we feel the alignment approaching, it still takes intention to bridge the gap between energy and experience. That's where practice becomes powerful, not rigid routine, but conscious, heart-centered action that honors both your growth and your readiness. Libra, in this season of opening and receiving, you are not being asked to force anything. You are being invited to create space gently, deliberately, for wealth to arrive and feel welcome in your life. When we begin to interact with money not as something we chase, but as a form of relationship we nurture, everything changes. And just like any sacred connection, abundance responds to presence. It responds to appreciation, clarity, consistency. The practices you're about to explore aren't just rituals, they're recalibrations. They shift your internal frequency from waiting and wanting to receiving and becoming. When you show up fully with gratitude, with clarity, and with faith in what's possible, you signal to the universe that you are no longer rehearsing your old story. You're writing a new one. Start simply. Begin each morning this week by journaling 5 things you're grateful for regarding money, not from a place of pressure, but from a place of awareness. Maybe it's the moment someone treated you to coffee. Maybe it's a bill you were able to pay. Maybe it's just the fact that you are learning to relate to money in a more conscious way. Gratitude doesn't demand that everything be perfect. It only asks that we acknowledge what is good, and in doing so, we multiply it. Then, allow your body and your energy field to soften into meditation. Not with the expectation that something magical will drop into your lap, but with the knowing that miracles arrive best when the soul is calm. Picture soft violet light, that sacred hue of transformation and wisdom surrounding your heart. Let it infuse your breath, your spine, the space around you. Let it remind your nervous system that safety is here, that wealth is not foreign, and that receiving is no longer something you must earn through exhaustion. As this energy integrates, speak your affirmations not like a chant to convince yourself, but as a truth that already lives inside you. Whisper it with warmth: I am a magnet for wealth. I do not chase, I attract. Feel the truth of that land not just in your mind, but in your entire being. Then let the second one sink deeper still. I am fertile ground for prosperity. This is not about what you have, it's about who you are becoming. You are not reaching. You are remembering. And in this quiet remembering, it's okay to be guided. In fact, it's encouraged. Many people of faith in all walks of life turn to daily scripture not just as tradition, but as grounding. In a world that moves fast and asks more than it gives, these small returns to divine wisdom are what keep the soil of your belief hydrated. Sometimes, all it takes is a single verse or phrase to remind you that your path is not random. That there is order in the unseen, and your future is held with intention. So let these steps become more than habit. Let them become a sanctuary. A space where your heart relearns what it means to receive without guilt, to hold without fear, and to give without depletion. Not because it's trendy or mystical, but because it's human and because you're ready. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. Let this be your daily devotion to becoming the version of yourself who no longer just dreams of abundance, but lives it. Quietly. Powerfully. Unapologetically. As we close this sacred space together, take a moment to reflect not just on the words you've heard, but on the truth they've stirred within you. Libra, you've just been handed more than a forecast. You've been offered a key, one that only works when held by someone willing to step forward and trust. The gates of wealth, emotional clarity, and aligned relationships are not hidden behind force or perfection. They open with presence, intention, and a heart willing to receive. You were not born to prove your worth by how much you sacrifice, how hard you work, or how quiet you become to make others comfortable. You were born to be a channel of grace, and that includes allowing abundance, support, and joy to reach you without shame or hesitation. On this powerful day, October 5th, the universe isn't simply giving you a sign. It's extending an invitation. Will you open the door? Will you let go of the past just enough to make room for the future you've been quietly praying for? Let me ask you this. What would happen if you truly believed that you are the one who calls in your own blessings? What if you stopped waiting to be chosen, and realized you've been chosen all along? What could shift in your life today if you committed to showing up differently, not just with hope, but with grounded action? This is your turning point, Libra, not because of the planets alone, but because you are ready. You've been preparing for this energetically, emotionally, even spiritually. Now, it's time to embody it. To live as the version of yourself who does not chase but attracts. Who does not beg but magnetizes. Who does not settle but expands. And if you feel that, even the tiniest spark of it, don't let it go unnoticed. Write it in the comments as a declaration. Let the energy echo out beyond this screen and ripple into your reality. Say it with courage: I am ready to receive divine financial blessings. Or in your own words, speak your readiness aloud. Let yourself hear it. Let the universe witness it. Before we part, I want to thank you truly. Thank you for showing up today, not just to this video, but to yourself. Your presence here means you're no longer just surviving your circumstances, you're stepping into the authorship of your life. Every like, every comment, every share tells the algorithm yes, but more importantly, it tells your soul, I'm taking this seriously. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel Zodiac Whisper Tarot, because you and we are building something deeper than content. We're co-creating clarity, courage, and spiritual prosperity. And I want you with me every step of the way. Remember this, you are the blessing you've been waiting for. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where you're meant to be, standing at the threshold of a new beginning, with the keys in your hand. Keep blooming, Libra. The story isn't over, not even close. It's only just beginning.